Watching what has been going on in the United Kingdom for the past week from the other side of the world, I'm going to admit, has been soul destroying. The most corrupted, crooked, and cowering of politicians, establishment figures, and mainstream media stooges exerting their last vestiges of power into deriding Elon Musk rather than owning up to their involvement in one of the most shocking cover-ups in British history. The whole-scale rape and torture of white English girls by Pakistani gangs in plain sight. But these scumbag bastards were complicit. They knew. They were warned. They were told time and again. However, just like with the mutilation of precious young girls at the Tavistock Clinic at the behest of trans extremists, the woke mob will always sacrifice the young, even to Muslim rape gangs, just to sort of fulfill what I believe is now a deranged political purpose. So as Musk says, lock them up, throw away the keys. I am incensed, and I know you are. But let's be honest, we have been this angry for many years because for us this isn't new. We haven't relied upon the mainstream media for years. Instead, we have listened to victims of these rape gangs like Samantha Smith and Sammy Woodhouse, two personal heroes of mine, such impressive young women who waved their anonymity to blow the whistle on the extent of a sickening crime wave, only to be bullied by the police and the establishment to shut up. Well, thank God they didn't. And as for our Prime Minister, Slippery Stammer, well, he was the director of public prosecutions during the entire period. He is responsible. His far-right jibes are now meaningless. Piss off with them, Keir. The only reason that you would avoid calling for a full public inquiry is because you know you are culpable and you will never be forgiven. But neither will the Conservative Party, which failed to ever grapple with the horrific crimes when they were in power. Sure, they threw out the odd weasel word, but they failed to do what was required, all while allowing more rape gangs and terrorists to invade the country both legally and illegally on a daily basis. And one by one, this same establishment picked off the brave folk prepared to speak up against the agenda. Katie Hopkins, Mark Stein, the Tate brothers, Father Calvin Robinson, Lawrence Fox, and of course, that ultimate bogeyman, Tommy Robinson. You know, the one who must only be mentioned in a negative context. Or if you're a captured and controlled GB News presenter, the guy you can only name with one caveat. He's a really bad guy, but. And what I've seen this past week is Tommy yet again being turned into a straw man. So let me be clear. I am a critical friend of Mr. Musk, Nigel Farage and Reform UK, and Mr. Robinson. I am completely independent now. And I hope my regular viewers know that on my independent news show, Outspoken, which we only launched in July, that I generally support the aims of all three men, but I'll tweak them here and there when is necessary. But given I know these players very well on a personal basis, I have to say I am horrified to see a continued bid for mutual destruction. So Nigel, I say to you today, Tommy Robinson has no desire to join Reform UK. He doesn't want to enter the political arena. He told me that when I visited him for 3 hours. It was HMP Woodhill just before Christmas. No, I didn't sign a gagging order, by the way, which is the latest trick being used to silence him. Tommy is really clear about what he wants, and that is to lead a cultural revolution to save the UK. And I think that's only going to get bigger, Nigel. Jordan Peterson, I can reveal, has agreed to speak at his first rally upon release from prison. And the tens of thousands that turn up, Nigel, let me tell you, they are your voters. They are not that lot. They deserve respect. Just as Tommy deserves respect for putting everything on the line to expose the Pakistani rape gangs. And by the way, I know for a fact there is much more to come from him. Labour and Starmer should be quaking in their boots about the next film Tommy plans to release after his disgusting 9 months in solitary confinement. And by the way, that's 9 months minimum. But all of that said, I am a realist. And I understand the game Nigel Farage is playing. This man is an unparalleled politician. And my regular followers will know that last year, on the day that he reversed Ferret and declared that he was running for Clacton to become an MP, I predicted that day, within hours, in an emergency edition of Outspoken, that Nigel Farage would be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom by 2029. And I do stand by that view. However, for that to happen, the Overton window actually has to be smashed in British politics. And I do think that requires a leader who will acknowledge Islam as the biggest threat to Britain and the West. So it requires a leader who is not going to play by the games of the MSM, but realize they are the enemy. They are the enemy that must be destroyed. And look at the success that Donald Trump has had doing that in the US. I mean, one man has pretty much just destroyed the entire mainstream media in the United States. And as a result, partly, I'm sure, for personal reasons, partly for professional reasons, partly for business reasons, given he is now the owner of X, that is what Elon Musk is looking for in the UK. And that's why Nigel's response these past few days disappointed Elon Musk so greatly. Now, I actually think Reform UK are doing really well. I voted for them. I like all of their MPs a great deal. They are providing the moral opposition in lots of different ways through Rupert Lowe and Richard Tice and Lee Anderson and, of course, Nigel, that Kemi Badenoch and the Tories will never do. But we need more. We deserve more. This is a national emergency. These rapes are still taking place on a daily basis. There has been no justice for the victims, both past and present. And that's before you get to the unprecedented invasion of the UK, the demographic change we're suffering, the introduction of Sharia law through the back door, the two-tier justice being used to try and scare the betrayed white working classes into silence, all while locking up people who happen to post something on X or send something to some mates on Facebook after the horror of the Southport massacre. So to tackle all of that, we need a brave hero, not someone who will march to the tune of the European MSM and the establishment. And by the way, this establishment, especially in the EU, and remember, Starmer is now obsessed with the EU and bringing us closer into the EU's orbit, they are really dystopian in terms of their plans. Just this morning, Politico reports that they are considering so-called legal weapons, their terminology, to try and neuter Musk's influence, or they would say his interference. So everything is at stake. Sometimes I worry, and I've been worrying a lot about this over my holiday, that it's too late already. Maybe it is. But we stay and we fight for our United Kingdom until our last breath. We simply cannot accept turning our country over to a woman-hating cult that believes the sexual brutalization of young girls is socially acceptable. Looking away is not an option for me, just like looking away is not an option for Tommy Robinson or Elon Musk. So Reform UK, your time is now. Do not let us down. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go wherever you are.